All right. Here we go, folks. We're ready to rock and roll again. People first, then construction. Today, full of energy. This is exciting. Tommy Cole, welcome to the show. Welcome. This is crazy. This is great. This is exciting. So thank you. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This will be
Uh,
fun.
this, this is gonna be a lot of fun. This is gonna be a lot of fun, and there's so much about you. I mean, there's enough information out there bubbling around that it illuminates and sparks a whole bunch of questions for me. And we're gonna pivot there, but first I want to know, you know, we're all nobody thinks the same. No two brains are wired alike, right? So everybody thinks slightly different. And I'm so curious about the mind. I want to know what happens up here. And random icebreaker, thought-provoking question coming your way.
Okay.
Here it is, man. You're in a boardroom having a great meeting going on, and I don't know where, door swings open, in runs an ostrich wearing a sombrero. What is the first thing he says, and why is he there?
So you want my answer, right?
That's it, man. What's your answer?
My first reaction was like, let's run around and do the same thing he's doing. Yeah,
Oh
let's.
my god,
I
that's
mean,
awesome.
an ostrich running into to a meeting with a hat on. Let's just get up and run around because why should you be scared? Like we probably need an icebreaker in that moment that we were so serious, right? Let's run around. Let's break a sweat and laugh and have fun. And then once the ostrich gets out, then we get back to work.
Love it, right? Love it. Thank you. And that's what it is
Yeah.
to be a human being, right? To really embrace and pivot. Because we're
Yeah.
human, we're people. We're people,
Yeah.
and yet we live in such the world we live is so just driven differently at times. Sometimes I would just want to pull the handbrake and say, "Whoa!
Yeah.
If there's uh, greater beings looking down from outer space, they think we're like crazy. It's almost like the movie The
Yeah.
Matrix, man. Like holy shit, holy smokes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so there's a perfect thing when you hear put people first. What shows up for you?
Man, people first. It's in my opinion, it's your number one asset.
Mm,
And it's not the equipment, it's not the facility, it's not the clients. When you put people first, everything falls into place. Why? Because they're excited to get up out of bed and go to work. They're excited to work along people that really give a rip. They're excited for the leadership team that's on that staff. They're excited for their clients. They're excited to do the right thing. They're excited to produce good things. At the end of the day, when you put people first, I believe that everything just falls in line after that, right? And you know, a lot of people want to put profit first or systems first or the new shiny machine or the software first, but none of that works without good people operating all of that.
mm, love it, love it.
Yeah.
And a word that kept showing up as you were describing that and unpacking that is excitement. So, i- i- you know, in your mind, what do we do to excite people?
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. And I feel like over the last few years, it's been a bit tricky with, the pandemic and it, inflation, a lot of things that cause that, and I think we're all just looking for that, that party or that thing that we do to have fun, right? We're always looking about, well, we should do more for the field staff. We should do more for the middle management. We should have a once a year get together. We should offer them some swag gear. We should do that, and that all makes sense. I strongly believe in celebrating wins and celebrating failures, but people are more interested, way more than that. And it's not about the money that they make at the end of the day. What it is it's more about, do you provide an environment that's inviting for others to come by? That means, like, yeah, I can refer my friend, I can refer a colleague or a family member to come in because it's a great place to be. They take care of you. But what really holds that more importantly, in my opinion, is is a good structured um, company that has like I can see my career path. We talk about a lot of like career ladders. Like I say, if I'm going to come in this organization, what's my path? Am I going to be this manager, project manager forever? And if the response is like, whoa, whoa, Tommy, like, we're just concerned about, we just need to fill this role. We are, or we don't know what that future looks like. You need to figure this out first. Or if I don't feel like there's a path for me to wiggle my way through to further develop myself and my career and go forward, then it's less attractive. And I don't think a lot of times we spend time as owners, business owners, of what they call a career path or a career ladder. At the end of the day, it's most owners are desperate for a position when they were hiring, and it's like come into this role and just go and go and go, right? And so if it was, when I say structured organization, I mean like, how was the onboarding when I first appeared day one, right? How was the onboarding 6 months down the road? Did that 6 month review happen? Did we review our core value? Did we review our defined roles? Like, what's the next step after 6 months, 12 months? What is it for me that I need to win in this organization? What are the 3 to 5 KPIs that I need to know in order for me to be successful in this organization? People want to know what their value is in an organization. And I think people are tired of going, I just need a job. I need a
Yeah.
job, right? I just need to go somewhere to work. And now people are like very strategic, want to make sure that this is a good fit, good culture company, good place to work. They're going to take care of me. And yes, I'm, need to take a vacation and PTO, but like I got to be excited to get out of bed and go to work. So business owners really need to pivot and learn from that. Like, what do you provide people coming in your organization? It's almost like the law of attraction at the end of the day. Like, are you attracting people that want to come work for you? And if you're not, then you need to take your look yourself in your mirror and figure it out.
Yeah, well, listen, thank you for all that, and I love how you sort of tied that all together with the law of attraction. It's no different than anything else in life. Why are we attracted to follow sports teams? I use sports because we can relate to sports teams, right? Do you think I want to follow a sports team that I don't believe in, that I don't
Yeah.
believe in their structure and their ideologies, in why they attract the athletes they do, or why they buy into that? Like, and think of sports teams for a second. Do I get frustrated if I have a sports team and like, what are you selling? What are you trading that franchise player for? Yes, except when you understand the whole bigger picture, guess what? I buy into the philosophy,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah, it's one of those things and I love sports. Like I'm ultra competitive. I think I read sports books. You can learn a lot about sports and what it teaches you in business, but 100%, I am not following an organization that has a lot of drama,
Sure.
that seeks out the player that is yelling and screaming and all over social media, right? I want a button up owner. I want a button up organization where they work really hard. They celebrate their failures. They celebrate their victories. And you just don't hear a lot about them, right? It just, they go in and put the work and they go home and they're done. And those organizations, sports organizations, are very attractive, in my opinion, and probably so for most people out there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I just want to hang out in this space for a second because it's tremendously exciting. Because when all of that stuff occurs, and then there's like a blow up, or and let's stick with sports. But if a team gets destroyed and they get blown out one game, as somebody
Yeah.
who wholeheartedly believes, you're like, okay, like that was a less than desirable performance. It doesn't mean that the organization's terrible. It means it was a performance that didn't go as planned. What do
Yeah.
they do next? Right?
Yeah.
They pivot through it. So in the business world, yeah, can somebody lose their cool, yell and scream? Sure. And
Mhm.
how do we pivot past that? Because that's what keeps people connected.
Yeah. Right. What's fascinating to me is how do you react when you have a loss,
Yeah.
right? Like, so when the team loses, what is your reaction? Is it, is it the world falling apart? Is it pointing fingers at everybody else in the organization? Is it because they didn't recruit the one person? Is it because like, to me, or is it like, whoa, we got some work to do? And if you really think about it, the good business owners are going, I got to look at myself in the mirror. What could we
Yeah.
have done as a coach, as a head coach, to prepare our team for battle next week? Well, okay, man, we got to put a better game plan. We got to get back in the film room and study more about our opponents. We got to get back to fundamentals. We got to get back to work, right? And it all starts from the top down. Whether you're the owner or you're running your 5, 7, 8 direct reports, I want to know how you do after a loss. I think it's easy when people are winning. When
Right.
you're 5-0 in the football league, right, man, everyone's singing your praise and everyone's like, man, you guys are the best thing. And all of a sudden you go on a 3-game losing streak and people are like, man, what's wrong with this organization? They're awful. They can't get it together. Are they going to make playoffs? And actually, it's like, how do you respond to those moments when things aren't clicking? Is the one thing to look for, I believe.
I'm with you. I'm wholeheartedly with you. Right. Again, and I want to come to business, and I want folks to understand that for me, business and sports is like a perfect analogy. Right. Look,
Yeah,
there's a perfect example. You're on a 5-game. Let's say you're in first place right now. Right. Everybody's all right. Let's celebrate. Let's have another drink. Let's we're gonna kick ass this year. We're gonna win it all. And then shit
yeah,
goes sideways. You lose 3 games in a row. And how does it react? Is it like, well, the refs missed that call, the refs missed this call? Do we? Why do we somehow have the credence to externally, victimize, like poor us, poor me? It's always somebody else. When what you're talking about is, listen, folks, grab a mirror. Where the hell did we
yeah,
go wrong? What do
yeah.
we do?
grab a
And
grab a
dig in.
grab a mirror at the end of the day, and what do I got to work on as an organization? It's no different. Let's take a business. Let's say your top client was to walk away.
Right.
Okay, we can sit here and talk all, until we're blue in the face and go, well, that top client wasn't worth it at the end of the day. Well, some bottom feeder company took over our contract. And we can sit here and point all the fingers all over all day long. When really and truly, a good business would say, what could we have done better to this top client? Like, how do we service them better? How do we take care of them? Is it communication? Is it things that we didn't execute on that said we were supposed to execute? Is it because we assumed they were the best client, so therefore we don't need to communicate as much with them, right? We kind of got
Mm.
complacent at the end of the day, right? We just assumed they were great, no big deal. We were focusing more on the bottom end clients that take up all our effort that we may or may not need in our organization, right? So, what are you going to do when that big client decides to leave? Instead of pointing all the fingers, you need to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and go, what could we have done, even though it really hurt and it really stung? And we have to go back to the drawing board and be better as an organization to make sure that top client doesn't leave.
Oh my gosh, thank you for pivoting down this pathway. And I'm so curious, right? Because I can sense and feel your passion, and I love
Yeah.
how you talk about your ultra competitiveness and the co connection to the sporting world. And yet I'm super curious now because you spent much of your life in construction, in landscape, in civil, bouncing back around, and now it's coaching, it's speaking, it's all of the above. Like, talk to me about this journey. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, man, it's been an exciting journey. I absolutely love every single minute of it. So, I got a landscape architect degree um, in at a college called Texas Tech University. And listen, it's not the most famous college in all of the nation. We are. I had a vision to go there one day, and I was like, I like the second tier type school that doesn't get all the top picks, and but it's an attractive school, and it was great. left there and moved to the Arizona, California, West Coast and become a landscape designer. It's just typical what you do. You draw and you do construction drawings. And I worked for a really high end residential landscape architecture firm. And we did some amazing stuff all over California and Arizona. And then I moved into some master planning and designed parks and trails. I designed some substations in the Western U.S., which was a little boring. So I spent 5 years in the design world. Listen, not my cup of tea to sit at a desk for 10 hours and draw. So I made a change when the '08 recession was coming, and I moved to Texas again. And that's where I got started in the landscape and civil construction world. And so what got me back to Texas was working for a firm that did what we call dirt, pipe, paving, walls, and landscape. It was a full turnkey construction company, $200 million plus. And I was the fifth arm that completed the full 5 turnkey of all the services. And we hit the ground running and did great. The recession eventually came and kind of squashed that whole idea. And then I pivoted again and worked for a really good company in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And that's where I got a lot of my experiences is running construction projects. So I started as a project manager. Day one, I was handed a $1.5 million private residence and said, "Don't mess this up. This is huge to our business." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, okay. I get it. I get it." A few weeks in, I'm not sure he was confident that I could be the person. So it kind of motivated me even more. And to this day, that client is amazing. I know her very well. And that catapulted that business. And we went from $4 to $5 million to $30 million in 7 years, and in a small market in Dallas. And what that was basically hiring really good people, good culture, and just doing the right thing. That word accountability was introduced to me, which is a often sort of negative word that people can use in the industry, but I love the word accountability. I was apprehensive about having to be accountable to others and my boss, but it made a lot of sense. And I left there after 9 years, worked my way up to vice president of construction, and it was great. And then I went back into the civil world and went back to work for another very large civil construction company and worked all over in Texas and Arkansas and Oklahoma, and ran their project management staff. So between all of those years of experience, I finally got into coaching. And I was like, there is no way in the world I would ever get into that. I said, I'm not old enough. I don't have enough experience. There's not enough gray hair on me. But I took a leap of faith, and the few guys that I worked with at that landscape company in Dallas helped start McFarland Stanford. And today I have a bunch of coaching clients all over the country. I get to travel to their facilities. I see about 15 to 20 facilities a year, and I coach them in every aspect of their business. And it's been absolutely phenomenal type of stuff. I get to be on these types of podcasts and shows, which is great. I never thought I'd be speaking in front of an audience, but here I am today and love what I do.
Well, thank you, and that certainly shows up.
Yeah.
You know, and so how do people find you? Like you say you travel all around the world. That's more than word of mouth, man. Like what is it that's bringing people into your orbit?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, there's a handful of what we call events throughout the year. McFarland Stanford is a great business. We found a niche in McFarland Stanford to where when landscape business owners have a business, they're very good at a couple of things. One, they're very good at
Sure.
installing great products, right? Landscape, construction, you name it. They're good at maintaining beautiful houses and commercial properties and all that. They're very good with their hands. Where business owners in the landscape world challenge are the backside of the business side. It's right. It's a chart of accounts. It's the financial 101, gross profit, net profit, balance sheets, assets. It's how do I run a team? How many direct reports should I have? What should a standard meeting look like? How do you motivate people? When do I need an HR person versus a marketing person? How do I recruit? How do I onboard? Like all those things, you're like, whoa, I'm, I'm just a business owner that wants to install cool stuff. I didn't know I had to do all these things. So McFarland Stanford's been great to come in and work behind the scenes, or that what we call back office at the end of the day. And there's a few events a year that we attend and we coach or we speak at, and our clients range from anywhere from about $1 million in revenue to 85 million. So it's it's a broad brushstroke. And what we recommend people doing is getting into a peer group. And if you don't know what a peer group is, I highly recommend this for business owners. And usually it's a group of business owners that get together consistently throughout the year and multiple years, and they share ideas. They understand people in that sort of market. So once we hold peer groups, it's the landscape business owners only. So you don't get to go home and complain to your wife how bad of a day it was because your wife doesn't understand what the heck goes on in a landscape business or a construction business, right? You can pick up the
Right.
phone and call your accountability partner and someone in your organization and go, holy crap, can you believe this happened? And you share ideas of wins and successes through along the way. I mean, being in a peer group during COVID was fascinating because people didn't know what to do during COVID. Like, can I work, not work? How do I be, a legal business running before I get shut down? Inflation has been the newest thing lately in the last couple of years. Like, what do I do with inflation? How do I raise prices?
Right.
How do I, all those things that people share all the knowledge. And you get 8 to 12 business owners within the same sort of business that you do. You can make a lot of momentum along the way. And so we recommend everyone getting into a peer group. And then, we've got 15 peer groups that we're running, 8 to 12 business owners in each group. And they're from all over the country. And that's who I go see and coach along the way. So you get to see when people are struggling and they're like, man, I need to figure something out. And a couple of years later, they're like, hey, I got out of that hole. This has been great. I'm never leaving, right? Then I kind of get
Right.
goosebumps talking about that. That's the exciting part of our job.
But this is human to human connection, right? You amplify me here because this is it, right? There's something
Yeah.
special about mastermind groups. Like we're all human beings first. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the wins, the losses, and the shit in between. And guess
Hmm.
what? The failures suck.
Yeah.
Like there's things that suck. Sucking is going to happen. Suffering is optional, folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And
So how do we
and
want to pivot through that? And guess what? Human beings we want to share ideas. It's selfish to take our ideas to our graves.
yeah, that's a good point. Celebrating failures is a good thing. It's okay, right? At least you're trying something, right? So in other words, yeah, we hired that person. It totally did not work out. Let's move on. We're going to hire someone else that may not work out as well. We tried this new process at the end of the day that did not work. We bought a piece of equipment, used it for 3 months. Doesn't work. It's too big. I get it. Move on at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, at the end of the day, it's not going to hurt. You know how many failures that all the biggest CEOs in the world have? I mean, you don't have enough paper to write down all the things that people fail out every day. Right? I mean, take baseball, for instance. If you're batting 300, that means like 3 out of 10 chances that you're going to actually do something with that bat and ball, which is you're batting 300, you're a
Yeah.
multimillionaire.
Yeah, you see, we look at it. I love that, right? We see, oh my
Yeah.
God, this guy's batting average is in the 300s. Like, okay, there's a high probability he's going to get on base. And when you
Yeah.
put that in that perspective, that's a 3 out of 10 that you're going to hit the ball. And if somebody
Yeah.
comes into business and says, "Well, there's a 3 out of 10 chance that piece of equipment's going to serve you well," you know what I'm going to say? I don't want that piece of shit, right? Like
Move
three
on.
3 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
But so you talk about something magical there too is failures, right? So human beings sometimes we feel guilt about failures. We think I'm a failure because this didn't occur. I'm a failure because this occurred. And I'm simply here to suggest what happens when you reframe that to simply say that performance was a failure. I'm not a
Mhm.
failure. We're not a failure. That performance is a failure. My attempt at bat was a failure then. It doesn't make me a failure.
Yeah.
That creates another opportunity next time. To your point is go back and dig in,
Yeah.
right? And with a peer group, you have opportunities there. It's like, guys, I went to show up here and I struck out. I feel
Yeah.
terrible. Well, it's not you feeling terrible. It's folks, it's a performance, right?
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I just read an article this morning, which is kind of fascinating. It says most successful business owners are about the age of 45. Most successful millionaires are about 55. Most successful billionaires are at 65. But people today at 25 years old go, well, I tried that. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, 25? You know how much I would pay to be 25 all over again, knowing what I know now?
Right, right.
It's unbelievable. You are supposed to fail. Like, do you remember yourself as a kid and you would try anything? You could care less what people thought as a kid. You're just going to go out there and you're going to fall on your face. Like, I no, give you an example. Well, I went ice skating here in Texas at some little place. We don't know how to ice skate to save our life at all. Nothing.
Right.
But my kids went
Right.
out there and fell on their face 100 times, and they just got up and kept laughing. Like, as business owners, why can't we do that? Why can't we celebrate our fails and learn? And then by the end of 1 hour of skating, they were laughing. They're like, that was the best time ever. I got so frustrated for the first 15 minutes. My son's like, this was awful. Now I just love can we go back again? I'm like, yeah, let's try. But like, if we took that mentality as a business owner and look at the failure and celebrate and learn, celebrate and learn, celebrate and learn over again, something's gonna click along the way, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so now I love where you're going with this, and I'm gonna throw this word in there, ego. And when that shows up for you, like, what do you suggest to folks out there as far as checking your ego? What do you do what can you leave with our audience to say, hey, folks, check your ego, put it aside. Here's something because the analogy of children is pulling on every heartstring because I love children,
Yeah.
and anyhow, I'm gonna volley that one back to you. You know, so what now? What do you suggest?
Ego. Listen, ego is not a bad thing at the end of the day. I mean, I've
Right,
got some ego
right.
myself. Like um,
Of
I,
course we do.
I, but you need to check yourself in the ego category. There's no different than I can't go out there and walk around thinking I'm just the most amazing person on earth. I'm confident in what I want to do, but ego is fine. When you would, as a business owner, you also need to let your guard down a little bit, right? You need to go, absolute, yeah, Tommy, me, the owner, I made a bonehead decision, right? We should have never done that, right? I take ownership in it. I thought from the numbers and the data that I have right now, I made that decision. Didn't work out. Great.
Yep.
You know how many owners in the NFL draft players that don't work out?
Right.
And they got millions and millions and millions. They don't work out, right? It wasn't the right fit. We didn't have the right coaching staff. The person didn't attribute to work out. We got to move on. If we sit here and dwell about who we didn't get or who we should have got, we'll never move forward in an organization. Drop the ego. Ego's good for an aspect of confident. I can go accomplish today. I'm excited. Let's go crush it. But at the end of the day, you got to check yourself and go, man, I messed up. I totally
Yep.
went against your grain and made this decision. But once they see as an owner in you going, man, that owner, he's pretty humble. Like he's not like so much high above everybody. He's kind of like us at the end of the day, right? And you got to kind of check your ego. We use this thing called I learned this years ago called nameless and rankless when you have meetings.
Okay.
Nameless and rankless when you have meetings. I don't care if you're a middle manager or you're the owner. At the end of the day, everyone has an input in this organization. In a leadership team, everyone has an input. Your guys out in the field, I call them frontline. I don't call them anything else, but those are the frontline guys and girls that are out there working their butt off for you guys in the management office. And they have just as much as to say as anybody else out there. And
Mm.
when you go into a meeting and you're nameless and rankless and you can say what you feel and you can have an open platform, that means that that organization is better well off with that platform.
So tell me more about the nameless and rankless philosophy.
So nameless and rankless. So, at the end of the day, if Tommy Cole, like myself, is the owner, it doesn't matter. We're all in a room to learn and understand each other and grow. One common goal is to grow the company. And it's not the owner that can do everything. It's going to take an army of people to do it. Also, my position that says owner, president, CEO, whatever, shouldn't mean anything. If I have a manager that reports to me or a entry level manager and they come up with something, they should not be scared to say that to me as an owner. Right? At the end of the day, the field and the middle management is where the rubber meets the road. They make or break whether you guys make money or not. They're in front of the client. They're the closest to the client than you are closest to the client. Their image of you, of the field staff, is an image of the entire client. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you are entry-level person or you got 50 years experience. At the end of the day, we come together as one team and unit. And if everybody's one team rowing at the same time, that boat is going straight and going forward. But if everyone's sort of doing, well, that's not my role as a middle manager. Or I've been here 10 years. I don't have to do that kind of stuff. I've already put in 10 years, right? Then you got one person rowing, one sort of rowing, one not giving a rip, right? Nameless and rankless. When you walk in the door at the meeting, that's it.
Yeah, I got all that. And what do we say to the folks out there that go, Jonathan, Tommy, I get what you guys are talking about. Give me more. What can I do to build psychological safety so that the nameless and rankless actually holds weight and is not just fluffy words thrown around?
Yeah, good point. Our business cards kind of start off, right? I'm now vice president of something, something, something. I'm now this. At the end of the day, you have to be inviting as a person for their ideas. If I'm an owner and I go walk a job site and I see the frontline guys, hey Bob, hey, how's it going today, man? Bob's like, man, it's been tough. I'm going through a lot of personal things, but I'm fighting through it. Oh man, that's terrible. I understand. And Bob goes, you know what, Tommy? I just had an idea. I've been working on this job for like a year now, and I feel like something's a bit off. Like there's got to be a better way in order for us to get this work done a little bit more efficient. And I've told my direct report multiple times, but my direct report keeps telling me, don't worry about it. We know what we're doing. Forget it. I've been here 5 years, right? But Bob is the guy that is literally in the trenches working, and he's got an idea. Why not be open to it and try it? Because if you shut that person down because he's the field guy, right? Then that's no different than when we started off this conversation being people first. Why can't that guy have something to say because he is in the trenches working his tail off and seeing where the rubber meets the road, right? So when I say nameless and rankless, Bob on the front line has the ability to ask someone going, there's got to be a better way. That to me is nameless and rankless.
And there it is, right? That's what you described, right? You showed up and you actually give a damn about the person in front of you as a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bob, how are you? Whether shake the guy's hand, but connect with him. Bob, what's going on in your world? Oh
Yeah.
man, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. Okay, sounds terrible. How can we help? What do you see? And right away, what does Bob say to you? Hey, Tommy, you know what? I've been killing myself, working tremendously hard, and I don't know. Maybe you just discover this tool, this shovel. The fiberglass handle does not suit me well. Can we go back to a solid wood handle?
Yeah.
Okay, sure, man. We thought the fiberglass handle was better because it's lighter, and who knows, right? When all that guy really wants is just a strong, sturdy shovel. Let's just listen.
100%. 100% agree at the end of the day. I mean, those men and women in the front line they're everything to us. And
Yeah.
I would say they got more say than anybody else at the end of the day. And I love the fact that you can walk into a meeting that says, we value everyone's opinions. And I've been to some organizations, some facilities around the country. One of the places I visited on the top of in their shop, they had their core values of 7 values, and one of them was called celebrating the failures, right? Go back to what we did. And if you look at their core value, that Bob guy that's on the front line can go up there and go, that's one of our core values, is to celebrate failure. I proposed this idea about the shovels. We implemented it. It didn't work. So let's pivot and understand, because that right there is one of our core values, right? So that's the whole idea of nameless and rankless. At the end of the day, you want to be people that are open and inviting and have an opinion on how things go. To me, that's people first at the end of the day.
Thank you for pivoting through that. And we've
Yeah.
talked a lot about, you know, by this point in time, it's been pretty evident, like from your philosophies and ideologies, what's going to what it takes to run a successful business, how you sort of tailor it to be, um, I guess, a well-oiled machine, but just to flow appropriately. But you know, okay, so cool. Let's talk about the business owners that, and we can even tie it back to sports franchises that have done all the right things and seen success, and now all of a sudden, it's like we're a 500 team. We've plateaued.
Mm.
We're not good nor bad statistically. What happens next? What do you see when somebody says, "Okay, you know, now we've plateaued from a growth trajectory. So what now? What?"
Yeah, good question. That's no different than a sports team. It says you're 5-5 for the year, right? That's your record. So you're right at average, not great, not bad at the end of the day.
Right.
Once again, you have to go back and look at yourself in the mirror, and how do we get up to be above average,
Hmm.
right? So as an owner or as a leadership team or as a person on the front line, as a crew leader, what could we do as an organization to get better? Well, it's not just me, it's everyone getting better. So let's just talk about, I love this experience. What do you think in the client's perspective visions your company? So in other words, if we have a client that's our top client, what do you think they think of us? And put yourself
Right.
in their shoes, right? So wow, they think of us as decent, probably. The invoicing's a bit tricky. They produce the work, but it's on time, but kind of not on time. There's a lot of okay, whoa. That's why we're average at the end of the day, right? So I'm a fan of, like, when you're a ball club that's average or below average, they always say, like, we got to get back to the basics, right? That's what I'm a fan of. Let's just get back to the basics. What are we good at? Okay, we're good at these 3 things as an organization. Okay, how do we always continue to be good at those 3, but we got to improve on the other 3? Okay,
Sure.
so this is what we got to do. Who's going to own this at the end of the day? All right, if it's sales, who's going to own it? If it's our marketing, who's going to own it? If it's operations, who's going to own it? And at the end of the day, someone's got an ownership within an organization that says, I got it. I'm going to handle it. It's in my ballpark, and this part we're going to do it. I'm a fan of training, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face for years and years to come. But we don't spend enough time training our entire teams, and that's field and that's management teams. And you look at the top successful retail stores and fast food restaurants and organizations, airline industry, they're constantly training on a lot of things. Their value they provide, how to better themselves. It could be financial 101 literacy. It could be getting your COUs and certifications in that. It could be CPR and safety training. But, like, what are you doing as an organization to train and constantly get all that information into people's head to better craft themselves along the way? And when you've plateaued, that means to me that you've been doing average things that produce average results. So how do we go from better systems and process to get awesome results? Well, at the end of the day, it all starts with me as an owner. It all starts with me as a leader in this division. We have to identify what we're good at and continue, and then what we're not good at and make that better. And when you make those I'm a huge fan of discipline. And when you're disciplined enough to do those things every single day, that right there, it makes a huge momentum to be above average versus below average. It's like working out at the end of the day.
I was gonna say, I was actually gonna bring it back to sports skin, right? You
Yeah,
ain't gonna go
you
to the
know,
gym and squat 400 pounds on day one,
yeah.
right?
No, you know what? And you work out for 3 months, nothing's going to happen. It just doesn't happen. You're not losing weight. But what if you did something for 12 months? Like, it's a marathon at the end of the day. It takes a long time, right? So, in other words, if I'm a captain of a boat and we're like, oh, now we're going to do this, and you expect results to happen quickly, it doesn't. You can't jerk the boat like that. You have to ease that in. You got to get buy-in from your team, right? You got to go back to basics. You got to understand everyone's defined role, and then you start to rotate, and then that boat turns. I love to work out. I get up early. It's something that, I'm not huge and buff, but I'm pretty dang fit. And I love to get up, get fresh air, get a sweat on, and then go to work at the end of the day. It's just my routine. But I've been doing that for years and years and years and years, to where now if I miss 2 days, I freak out. I'm the opposite. Like, I got to go burn all this mental and this craziness that's going in my head. But I didn't get to where I am by working on it for a few months.
Yeah. And thank you for again bringing the athletic component back to it, because we live in a world where it's like, well, I want the blue pill now that's going to fix the problem. Well, you
Yeah.
just identified, we can't jerk the boat that fast, folks,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Yeah.
the habits, the rituals, the routines, in the beginning, and I'm not even saying now, I'm sure there's still mornings where you wake up and like, man, it sucks, I don't want to get up, and yet you do, because it's the
Yep.
discipline and the consistency, because it's not about how you look tomorrow or feel tomorrow. It's what happens in 12 months, 24
Yeah.
months, right?
Yeah. I love it. One of my coaches, or co-partners right now, he today is his first day of 75 hard. And I go, oh my gosh. I'm like, you got a lot going on. This is going to be, he goes, yeah, but man, I'm going to go crush it. I'm going to crush it for 75 days. And I got to get something going. I got to jump off the cliff like right now in order to change my weight, my health. Like, I'm getting married, next year. And I'm like, man, through the holidays? He's like, yeah, I'm just going to go with it. And I'm like, that's amazing. And I actually told him today, I said, I think I'm going to join it with you. He's like, you're crazy, but you're already fit. And I go, yeah, but that's the challenge, man. I'm like, we can do it together, right? We can make an impact. Like, what if I also influenced a few other people to do the same thing? What if it also changed me as a person to go through this for 75 days? What better I could be at the end of the day?
Right.
And it's not you got to take a step back and go, I'm in it for the long game at the end of the day. And I go back to that quote that I mentioned, most business owners successful are 45 and the millionaires are 55 and the billionaires are 65. Right now, it's a long game in life, man. And you've got to fail, 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 fail all along the way, learn from those experiences, and keep pounding the pavement every day.
Yeah, I love it. And for the audience out there, this is what we're talking about. It's not fluffy unicorns here. Everything we've talked about business wise, athletic wise, we still tied it back. Look at what you just demonstrated it again. It's not what you do. It's not what you say. It's what you're actually doing. It's like, hey man, I'm
Yeah.
going to join you with the 75 hard, right? Why? Well, there's that peer group philosophy again.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to
Yeah.
learn we're going to learn from each other. We're going to struggle together, and we're going to celebrate together, and we're going to fail together, and we're going to go through every experience there is together,
Yep.
right? Because you're
Yep.
not in it alone. You don't have to go through it alone. And
Yeah.
maybe this individual wanted to. You're still like, no, man, I'm still in,
Yeah.
right? And this
You
is business.
hit,
This is business. This is life.
yeah, you hit something interesting. We had a peer group. Well, actually, we had a second peer group now. But a few years ago, we had a peer group that's decided to do a weight loss challenge. It has nothing to do with business. And they're like,
Right.
man, we're in. Let's do it. So they had check-ins every single week, but and this went on for, I don't know, 6 to 8 months, whatever. And they would have check-ins every week. How's it going?
Wow.
What are you doing? and he's like, man, we're doing this, or man, I just haven't got going. And they're like, come on, let's go. Like, this is what we all sat in a room and agreed we're going to do a weight loss challenge, not total weight, but percentage of weight, because everyone's different sizes. So crazy enough, there was a business owner, Charlie, an amazing person in Alabama, and he took on the challenge, and he lost over 100 pounds in that span of time. And it changed his life, completely changed it. And Charlie's such a fascinating business owner. I love him to death. But he attributes his success of his health because of the peer group. And that's nothing to do with business, like I said. And it's fascinating. And to this day, he's kept it off because he really believed in that. And that's the power of a peer group, right? That's the power of being networking with individuals and companies that want to make a difference, not in just their business, but also in their life and their daily things that they go on. Man, in the peer groups, we read books, we listen to podcasts. It's all about getting better as a person, trying new things, all that. It's great.
Thank you. Right. And there it is, right? Or organically, human beings are being human beings, and businesses thrive out of that. Why? Because human beings thrive.
Yeah,
Because the business, it ultimately gets back down to the people. So thank you
yeah,
for peeling back the layers. Thanks for unpacking all that.
yeah,
Tremendously cool.
yeah.
Tremendously cool.
Absolutely. It's been great, man. It's good to talk and chat with others out there and make a lot of good connections, people to people connections, right?
That's what it's about. That's what it's
Yeah.
about. So a couple of fun questions.
Okay.
Coming around. For the human being that you are today, what do you think your future self is going to remember about who you are today?
Oh man, this is a great. I could go on and on. I think it starts. Um, and I'll take it two different ways. I'll take it one way. My dad, is not here today. Left us about 5 years ago. He made an impact on me. He said, Tommy, you just have to put in the work. That's it.
Mm,
You put in the work and you work hard. You don't worry about what others think of you're doing. Don't worry about because you think you're on a construction job site that you get paid less than others. At that moment, you put in the work. And when you put in the work, things will start to happen. And it may not happen soon, it may happen years down the road, but put in the work. And that's what I teach my son today. Son, you can be on a team. You're going to go to school and you're going to face challenges at the end of the day. But all I ask is you give 110%. And if you lose or win in school or in sports, all I want is two things out of you. That's effort and attitude. And when you combine those two and give it 110%, I got nothing else to say. So in life, you need to look back on yourself and go, did you put in all the work that you wanted to do, right? At the end of the day. You know what? I challenge everyone listening. I heard something great and fascinating. You want to go put things in perspective? Why don't you go to a nursing home and sit with the 90-year-old people there and ask them what they should have done? What do you regret most,
wow.
right? And you're probably like, man, I wish I spent time with family. Man, I wish I would have developed that business that I always wanted to do for a year. And I wish I just enjoy and celebrate it as long as I can, because now I'm at the end of the road. Go sit there and be completely humble about what they say in life. And right now, at the end of the day, you got nothing going on as bad as that, right? Is everyone healthy in your family? Check. You're good. You got nothing to complain about.
Thanks, Tommy. That was heartwarming. That was heartwarming.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
thank you. And the last question, and it resonates so deep because I love children, and we have right now our children are 10 and 7. So it's fun and exciting. And knowing what you know today, like if you could teach the children of today's world, if you could teach children one thing, just one thing, and say this is what I want it to be. Simplify. I know you just talked about a couple with your son. Even simpler to the rest of the world, every kid out there. What do you want to leave with them? What do you want to teach them?
Wow. That's great. My kids are 12 and 8, so you and I are we're right in the middle of it. In the marathon game, right? Is what they say.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, the one thing is, at the end of the day, um, life's about a journey, and it's a long journey. At the end of the day, if you're not happy, make a change. Right?
Mm.
If you didn't vote, you can't complain. If you did not implement that software that you said you were going to do for the last 3 years to revolutionize your business, and you're halfway into it, you can't complain about that software. Right? If you said you were going to start a business and you didn't, that's on you, man. That there's nothing holding you back. That's the greatest why this country is so great that we live in. You get to do whatever you want to do at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
when you get to be 90 years old, you better look back and go, man, I gave it everything I got. I got nothing left. Like to me, that's the way you should be. I early in this conversation, we talked about young kids failing, right? Young kids, our
Right.
dreams, our aspirations, and what we're going to be. I'm going to be a fireman. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And then all of a sudden, we're like, we get there in the world and we just get stuck. We get in the grind of raising kids. We get in the grind of going to work and, celebrating holidays and blah, blah. Like, if you don't like that, go make a change because that's what we can do. But don't look back on your life and go, man, I should have done that. Give it all.
Right.
We tell athletes, give it all you got on the field, right? Why don't you give it all you got in the life that you've been handed to?
Wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot. But listen, it's not hard out there. And you're going to start a business and you're going to fail and you're going to lose money. But at the end of the day, you can do it again and again and again and again. Just keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Tommy, thank you. There's been so many nuggets of gold here. I'm humbled. I'm grateful to share space with you. This has been a lot of fun, really exciting. There's a
Yeah.
lot of huge thoughts that are dropping for our audience, and even just listen, folks. We're human beings. Like, stop, listen, take some stuff in, see what lands.
Yep.
Tommy, thank you for this. Great.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. It's been good stuff. It's it's what we're positioned to be in is right here for some reason that we came together right here at this moment to share something and and hopefully there's someone out there that it impacts and then at the end of the day we've achieved our mission here.
Absolutely. Our worlds have intersected for a reason. And this is all going to be in the show notes, but drop it out there for those listening. Best way to get in touch with you. How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, great. So McFarlandStanford.com. It's not a law firm. I know it sounds funny, but McFarlandStanford.com is where we're at. I'm on there. You can contact me. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on it 15 minutes every single night, all the time, because it's just part of my gig. I also got my own podcast called Roots of Success. We celebrate failures with business owners. It's actually pretty fascinating. We have authors, vendors, and business owners that have been through a lot. We talk about a lot of things. I didn't know if I was going to make payroll. I was digging trenches, in the middle with the guys. I didn't know if I was going to ever get out to some good success stories. So I'm out there on social media. It's been great. Drop a line or a DM, and I'd be more than happy to touch base with anybody.
Thanks, Tommy. This has been a pleasure. Thank you for today.
You're welcome. Thank you.